These numbers have become very important because of what the Fed has signaled. So if you step back and say, what do today's numbers tell us? I would suggest the following. One is people are right to be concerned about another spring swoon. Two is you're not going to find much talk now about tapering of Fed policy. I think if anything, this is going to suggest that the Fed is going to have to remain engaged.
Right.
And thirdly, it raises question about the underlying dynamics of the economy, the growth drivers. So yes, he's right, the monthly numbers are very noisy, but if you look at the pattern, especially the participation rate, the long-term unemployment, it does raise these questions, and it does raise policy questions, and with central banks being so influential in markets, it raises market issues as well.
Now, you've had several people, or we've seen several people raise the warning flags about the Fed and the stimulus programs that they put in, the QE. One of them was David Stockman, Mohammed, who, of course, wrote that op-ed in the New York Times over the weekend that created a firestorm among economists and policymakers in Washington, where he accused the Fed of stoking a bubble in the stock and bond markets. And, Mohammed, I just want you to hear some of what David Stockman said on our program earlier this week.
The Fed has become a serial bubble machine. All of this massive money printing is not getting out of the canyons of Wall Street. It just becomes money to fund speculation and yo-yo this stock market and risk assets up and down. The fast money makes a killing. This is how the 1% recovers. The 99% are going nowhere.
Mohammed, isn't this report proving David's point correct that Fed policy is just not working in trying to bring down the jobless rate?
So you and I have discussed this for so long, Betty. Think of the Fed as being necessary but not sufficient. It's not sufficient because it cannot deal with the structural underpinnings of the economy. So what the Fed does, it builds a bridge, and it continues to build a bridge in the hope that other agencies, and Congress in particular, is going to respond.
Right.
So what the Fed is necessary but not sufficient, and that's why macroeconomic outcomes have disappointed.
But that's not what David is saying, though. I mean, David is saying that not only are they not sufficient, but they're actually making things worse by fueling bubbles in the bond and stock markets.
Yeah, Chairman Bernanke and others have said whenever you go unconventional, you have to worry about, and their phrase, the benefits, costs, and risks. So the Fed tends to focus on the benefits, and others tend to focus on the cost and risk. It's an equation, and it's a judgment call as to how you strike that balance.
Well, do you think we're in a bubble? Are we in danger of bubbles in either of those markets?
So you've heard us say over and over again, every asset market is artificially priced today. It's artificially priced because of the involvement of the central banks. Just look at what happened in Japan. Right?
Yes.
And all that occurred because of the U-turn that the Bank of Japan had just made. So yes, every asset price is artificially at artificial levels. The reason is central banks. Central banks are there because they can't get to the real economy without going through asset prices.